Okay, I'm midway.
Okay.
Everyone got to come back on now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, here we go. So, oh, it just really pisses me off. Really pisses me off that I work that hard all day long, and then I have that happen. So, it is what it is. Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio, number 415, and we're finally online and cooking. And so here we go again. Oh, gee.
Are we on the cheap software?
We're on
or
the cheap
expensive?
software. We're on the cheap software. So, good God. Good God. Now, here we go, everybody. We were talking about the fires out west and how Canada is not having any of this. Now, they did have a a wetter climate up there this year. So they didn't have as many forest fires. And really, that was your part. You were talking about it. You want to finish up your
Right.
thoughts on that?
A couple points were brought up. First of all, Canada has had fewer fires this year than they had last year. And we're talking Western Canada, which would line up with Washington, Oregon, and California. Not only have they had fewer fires, but it should be noted that California in the past, uh, somehow or other, they've discovered that California has had somewhere in the area of 200 years of drought during past, what would you say, eons, decades, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unusual for California to get hotter than hell for long periods of time. As a matter of fact, I grew up in Western California. My folks moved there when I was pretty young. And believe it or not, I got sunstroke on San Francisco Beach when I was 5 years old. That puts it pretty close to 70 years ago, guys. Anyway, I can remember a lot of hotter than hell summers in California growing up out there. So, all this BS about global warming and it's Trump's fault, uh, is just what it sounds like, BS. The issue becomes how the hell are all those fires getting started?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think maybe, just maybe, a few matches are being cast about so they can talk about
I
Trump?
have no doubt. I have no doubt. And we'll be explaining why here in a bit. We'll be explaining why. But let me point out, OG, here in Texas, we've had many, many summers where the 100-degree days goes on for months at a time. We have forests to the west of us. We have forests to the east of us that do not have these problems. Oh, yeah, we have fires. We have fires, but they get put out. They get put out. And then we also manage those forests really well. Even the Weyerhaeuser forest in East Texas, you know, they don't allow the brush and the leaves and the foliage to just become a tinderbox. And so that's where we're at now, because that's exactly what California does. And it is a tinderbox, and it's real easy to go out there and strike a match, use a Bic lighter, use a blowtorch, whatever you want to use, some fireworks, and start a fire. Really easy and really hard to trace.
Well, they're not talking about it a hell of a lot, but there's a little more misery going on in California with hundreds, or let's say conservatively, tens of thousands of people that are going without power.
Yeah.
PG&E has shut down most of their high transmission lines running through Northern California because some of those connections spark, and they're scared to death that if one of those fires gets laid on them, they will be fined millions of dollars.
Yeah.
For those fires. Let's see. Jaman mentioned he heard that Cali was caused by a gender reveal.
Yeah.
And there was one of the fires that was started by a gender reveal, and the subsequent fireworks. The problem is, and the speculation is that they're going to be fined millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, why the hell they would do that to somebody, I don't know, because they're never going to be able to pay for it.
Yeah, they're never.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, unless they're just filthy rich.
But
filthy rich.
Let's go loot a store.
Yeah.
Because they'll let us out and they won't fine us or charge us.
I mean, my God, the people were just, what they do? Have red or pink, no, blue or pink fireworks or whatever to reveal what the baby was. And so it gets out of control. So now they're going to throw the book at them. Meanwhile, they're letting people out for looting and killing and beating people up and everything else. That's another story. We'll be talking about that here in a minute. It's crazy out there, guys. It is crazy. It is crazy. And wow. But OG, let's talk about what we were talking about here just a few minutes ago inside my home. And we were watching that video of this shooter, of those two deputies. and I was noticing that punk was really pretty short. They were in I think their patrol car was a Ford Explorer, what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't as tall as the car was. Now I did go out and seek a Ford Explorer today and stand next to it. And let me tell you, I am short, am I not, OG?
That's correct.
I'm 5'2". Now I used to be 5'4", but that's another story that I'll explain later on. But this was either a kid or a very small person. And if you look at him running away, he has some really distinct movements. Let me tell you, as the reward gets higher and higher, somebody's going to have a payday because they know who he is. They know who he is. He's going to be locked up soon. I really do believe that. I really do believe that. But let me give some hints to these young police officers that were on the force for 14 months, and maybe anybody else. Park your car in a position where nobody can come up from behind you, and be aware of anybody that's approaching you. Period. No matter whether they look like a kid, no matter whether they look like the most innocent person in the world, whatever, because that's the way I am now.
It's kind of like going to lunch and sitting with your back to the door.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm watching, and you're right. We watch who's coming through the door. We watch our surroundings, because we got a lot of crap going on. We got a lot of crap going on. Oh, hey, thanks, Ghost Eagle. Thanks. But OG, as late last night, I was watching some of the protests that were going on around the country. Now, there's this one channel, I don't know who it is, really don't care, because he is a left winger. This guy that posts all these different protests on one YouTube channel. So there's all this crap going on, and I'm listening to him, and there's this black guy, I don't know who he is. He's up and he's got a megaphone and he's just screaming. But what I noticed is the young white people out in front of him, they repeated everything he said. Everything. He'd say something and they'd say it right back to him. He'd say something, they'd say it right back to him. You know, I do believe these are zombies. These are indoctrinated zombies that are nothing, just robot. And if you look at them, you take a close look at them, OG, they look like kids, and especially the women. No, wait a minute. Some of the guys, some of the women, they look like they just don't fit. You know what I'm trying to say? They don't fit with the regular group of people. There's, you know, maybe they're nerds. Maybe they're just so intelligent that they're stupid.
Well, they talk about draining the swamp.
Yeah.
Time to drain the gene pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, the gene pool is screwed up.
Yeah. So, you know, and some of the girls that didn't have masks on, a lot of the guys did, but the girls didn't. And they're out there screaming and carrying on. Let me tell you, these aren't they're not even any princesses. They look like they've been passed around, if you know what I mean. And a lot of them chunky. A lot of them that, you know, they're not pretty. And the other thing I noticed is many of them had dark hair. Why would that be?
Dark hair?
Yeah. I was just writing down the stuff that I found peculiar and the things that were similar in all of them. But the main thing is their chants and the things they would say. Some of the most outlandish things. But let me tell you, everybody, these people aren't going to stop. If you've ever read about Marxism, communism, the end justifies the means, and they expect bloodshed. They really do. So they're not going to stop killing. They're not going to stop maiming people. They're not going to stop looting. They're not going to stop burning, because they were doing it again last night. Dumpsters, but you know, it really gets them off to set a dumpster on fire. I don't know why. And fireworks. Weird stuff, OG. Weird stuff.
Well, I got to say, you know, did you see the pictures they showed the other night of the rich kids in New York that were talking about communism and socialism and the whole bit. Basically, if you take a good look at a lot of these Antifa folk and a lot of the white folk that are showing up at BLM activities, they look like a whole bunch of first cousin marriages.
Yeah.
The product of. That's exactly what they look like. That's how they seem to think. I'll bet you it takes more than one. It's got to take at least a couple of them to get an IQ of 100.
Mm.
Yeah, they don't make any sense.
Yeah.
You got to wonder what possesses them to think they're owed a living, they're owed half of what I make or you make. Nobody can be rich. They're lazy. They don't work. But we were talking about some individuals today that it just doesn't seem like they're motivated enough to go out and try and earn a decent living.
Well, I can promise you guys here in Texas, there's plenty of jobs available. Things are moving along. But you're right, Jerry. They're the products of parents who refuse to discipline and teach self-responsibility. That's exactly right. But they're also the product of our education system. And they're the products of parents that didn't pay attention to what they were being educated as, which now is anarchists, good little socialists, or communists, whatever you want to say. Every one of those names fit. And so that's where we're headed. It's like I pointed out the other night in my rant. They're being trained to hand the keys over to the Socialist Democrats. Although I do believe this is going to spin out of control. I don't believe that the Democrats are going to be able to reel this in. I do not believe it. We'll see as things continue to spin out of control and the progressive Democrats lose ground. We'll see if they try and reel it in, or we'll see if they go all in.
I don't think they can. I think it's totally out of their control.
Yeah.
I think the only thing they've got going for them right now is that 80-year-old bag of bones and wind, Pelosi, who's able to stand up only because she's the majority leader.
Yeah.
Okay? If she weren't the majority, they'd tell her to shut the hell up and sit down.
Hey.
You got AOC, you got the rest of these nuts and fruitcakes running the circus and doing what they damn well please. And you got Schumer and Pelosi saying less and less.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Now, Nancy's been taken down a peg or two since her mask episode. So,
yeah, she's been a little quiet.
Yeah, trying to blame it on the shop owner is not going to work. Not that old bag. And of course, she's out jetting around all over the country in a whatever plane she's using nowadays to fly home every weekend. Can you imagine that? They fly that bitch home every weekend to have ice cream and get her hair done. I wonder where she's getting it done now. We need to send some spies out there to watch that bitch. That's what we need to do. Matter of fact, we talking about that today.
They need to bring back the draft.
They do need to bring back the draft.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, they do.
The minute they went to a volunteer army, everything went to hell.
But you know what? Oh, gee, they wouldn't keep these little creeps. They don't do that nowadays.
Well, yeah, it would seem that you can join, and before you're out of boot camp, if you decide you don't want any part of it, you can go in and resign.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You
They
know,
send you packing.
I mean, you don't even have to submit a letter of resignation. You just go in and say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, they need to get back to, you either get drafted or you go in, you serve a term, and those DIs kick the literal shit out of you until you do what you're supposed to do.
Now, you know, when I went in the Navy in 1965, they they didn't send you home. Oh, hell no. They sent you to Mickey Mouse. And that was a scene, the guys that were in Mickey Mouse. And the people that were in charge of them was the Marines. And if you think that wasn't a hellhole, you got another thing coming. They didn't send you home. They didn't send you home to mommy and daddy. They didn't do any of that stuff. They made you stay and stick it out or go to jail. That's what they did. And, you know, maybe that's the way it should be now.
Should be. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the minute they stopped the draft, everything started to go to hell.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Jerry. I know what you mean. So, okay, I made it. Go Seagull. I made it where you could see your post. I don't always catch those. You know, YouTube kind of watches what's going on. Hey, OG, I haven't seen enough of these people arrested. These people that are looting and doing all this stuff, you know, and I want to see some higher ups arrested. But what government entity would be doing that? Would that be the FBI or somebody? I mean,
should be the FBI. They keep talking that they're doing all this investigating.
Yeah.
They keep saying that they're trying to track down the people that are paying for all of this. And you know what? They're just going to keep talking because we all know the FBI's gone to hell in a handbasket. It has zero credibility. As a matter of fact, it has less credibility than a used car salesman.
I know.
You know,
I know.
You can't look at them with any kind of respect anymore.
Hey, you guys, has the FBI been so compromised, so politicized that they're just an ineffective group of people? Maybe they're in on the deal. Maybe they're in on all this stuff that's going on. I just have to believe that something is very, very wrong here. Because they should be moving at warp speed. And let me give them a hint. Let me give another law enforcement hint. In South Korea, we talked about this, OG.
Yeah.
When their protesters get out of control, they spray them with dye. Yeah. They mark them where they can't wipe this crap off, and they can track them down. Everybody knows who they are. I think that's a wonderful idea. Gee, while I'm thinking about it, what one of the guys that was doing the filming last night at that Lancaster protest, he got shot in the ass by a rubber bullet, and he moaned and he cried and he carried on, and he eventually left early. It was pretty funny. I thought it was, but that thing is kind of interesting to watch late at night. And really, I want to encourage everybody to watch some of that crap. I mean, it gets boring, but at times it gets funny as hell. Especially when the cops come running at them, and they don't do enough of that. They allow this stuff to go on too long. Just what I'm saying. That's exactly right, lowrider. That's what they should be doing. They should be spraying them with dye. They can't wash it off for weeks. Everybody knows what they've been doing. Everybody knows who they are. Besides putting up their mug shots like they did those rich kids in New York. Yeah. I mean, that was a crew, man. That was a crew.
Cruel and unusual punishment.
That's right.
What it would be called.
Let me say this to everybody, and we pointed this out. We pointed this out before. I want to say it again. All this defunding the police and everything else that's going on, this is not going to work. This is not going to work because they will receive funding. And the group of law officers that will back them up or replace them are going to be on steroids. And they'll be in the hands of the feds. They'll be in the hands of the feds, not your local prosecutors that George Soros has bought and paid for. It won't be them. They'll be in the hands of the feds, and everything will change. It's just like I said the other night in my rant. People will trade their freedoms for safety. They'll demand that these people are brought under control. Now, if Biden gets elected, all bets are off. Then we gotta regroup and we gotta get tough. We gotta get tough. Matter of fact, this next 30 days, we've got to get tough. We can't let them and the media, and especially the freaking media, get away with what they're getting away with. Can't do it. We've got to stand up. Now, as far as bikers go, bikers are probably not going to get involved until it's at their front door. And then when it comes to their front door, all hell is going to break loose because they're not going to take it. They're not going to take it. So the average citizens out there that's concerned whether the police is going to be able to show up to their house better be ready to defend himself or herself, his family, and his properties. You've got to be ready. And the police, remember, they're a reactionary force. What happens when they don't react? That's where we're at now. And Ghost Eagle says he's locked and loaded.
Well, that's good. That's good. I think there's a lot of independent writers out there that are probably wanting to be a lot more active than a lot of the clubs. And that's unfortunate because, you know, the clubs collectively could get a hell of a lot done.
Yeah, they could.
Unfortunately, a lot of club members are passive. They just don't want to be bothered. They don't think it's going to bother them. It's going to bother everyone else. I mean, very typical human ailment.
Everybody's gotten complacent.
Yep. Until they drop the hammer on you.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be too late. So we keep talking about, you know, push back, get tough, understand this is a very, very critical year. Hell, we all thought 2016 was critical. And what the hell would have happened had that fat, dumb broad gotten elected? You know, and what direction the country would have taken at that point, which I'm sure would have been catastrophic. But you all start thinking how bad it's going to get. I mean, what's one of the first things Biden started screaming about when those officers got shot in California. Ban guns.
Yeah.
Now,
Ban guns.
now I'm telling you, he and his little female partner are going to take it further than ban guns. They're going to come for your guns. You think about that, okay? We're not talking about banning the sale of guns. We're talking about they're going to come for your guns, and those that don't turn their guns in are going to be felons.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it works. Now, I think most of us here and y'all out there could give a damn less whether we're called a felon or not, keeping our weapons. But it becomes very problematic if we don't do something now. And that means, by gosh, register to vote, make sure you vote, particularly in areas that are leaning towards the blue. I'm telling you, blue party out there, take a look at what's going on in the country. I mean, I'm not a real Republican, nor is Popeye.
Nope.
We are conservative constitutionalists, and that probably leans a little bit towards libertarian.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little, not a lot, but a little. But that's typical of a hell of a lot of bikers.
Yeah.
But the issue is, take a look at what's going on around the country, at all of these riots, all of the vandalism, the violence that's going on, and they have been run by the Democrats for years, for decades. Go to Detroit. Detroit looked like bombed out Beirut. Now, when I was in the alarm industry, we had something called UL listing. We were a UL listed central station. And I believe Popeye worked for the same type of an outfit. And once a year, in order to maintain that listing gave businesses a discount on their insurance, typically jewelry stores, pawn shops, things like that. But in order to maintain that listing, we had to have a UL inspection, and it was a surprise inspection annually. Now, I'm taking kind of a long trail here to explain this, but you get pretty friendly with these UL inspectors because, you got to buy them dinner, be nice, the whole bit. And a lot of them were good guys. But they'd talk about inspections that they made around the country. And one of the hot spots I remember them talking about was Detroit. ADT, their central station, was in probably one of the most violent areas in Detroit. And they used to talk about bullets ricocheting off the front of the building in Detroit, wearing bulletproof vests when they went to investigate. And I can remember going to a international chief of police convention in Detroit, and I was riding in a cab. And I happened to look down on the floorboard of the in the front of the cab, and this guy's radio was secured by this massive logging chain. I said, "What the hell's that all about?" He said, "Man, it's the only way I can keep a radio in the car." So, you've got the Democrats running these cities. Now you got Portland, you got Seattle, you've got Denver, you've got Baltimore, Pennsylvania. It goes on, and they're all blue. You have to, I don't care what your political leaning is. If you're a registered Democrat, hey, that's great. I don't have a problem with that. I got lots of friends that are Democrats. But they're the Democrats of old, which was a way different party than what's going on right now. You have got to be nuts if you vote for any of these existing Democrats that are out there now.
Right.
You have got to be crazy. But by the same token, you hear lots of people say, well, I'm not going to vote because I can't vote for two bad people. I cannot vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, I got news for you. The minute you don't vote, you've got all these crazy, progressive socialists that are double and triple voting. They're bussing people in. University of Wisconsin out of Madison, they brag about how many times they vote. There are areas in Wisconsin and Minnesota that get more votes than registered voters. And they've proven they have registered voters that have been dead for 50 years. So, the minute you don't vote, you give them the advantage. What you have to do is you have to figure out who is going to do the least amount of damage that you're going to vote for this time around, and work like hell on the next election, getting something a little better to run against that individual. That's the way you got to do it. If you don't do it that way, these people are going to keep winning and things are just going to get worse.
That's right. That's exactly right. Understand, everybody, let me say this again. These socialist, communist organizations like Antifa, like the BLM, and and now these sports leagues, they are not going to stop. No matter how many people they have to kill, no matter how many people they have to injure, no matter how many buildings they have to burn, this is going to go on and on because they think they've got a winning hand. They really do. And let me tell you, the BLM cannot do this without white people. They can't. I think you have to realize, like here in Texas, blacks are 13% of the population. And it's pretty close to that nationwide because they're killing their children and they're killing each other. Now, you look at those numbers and you're saying, how does that work? Because, the old dude from the Not Fucking Around Coalition who said he's coming to take Texas. We know that that's not going to happen. We know that the numbers are not there. We know that people here in Texas will take up arms. We know people will protect themselves, their families, their property. They ain't taking shit. And that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. They will not stop. They're like ISIS. They hate this country. Absolutely hate it. They hate everything about it. They hate capitalism. They hate it all. They want to destroy it. Period. And why there's not a lot of people sitting in jail right now for treason, I don't know. And that includes Hunter Biden, who we're going to be talking about next week because of the shit he's been doing. And I'm not talking about Ukraine. I'm talking about this China mess. But you have to understand, what are you willing to do to save your country? What are you willing to do? Because I can tell you right now, these zombies that are out there chanting to each other, they're going to be willing to die. And they're going to be willing to shed your blood. Your blood is what they're going to be willing to do. They're going to be willing to destroy your city, your state, your country. What are you willing to do? Just saying, everybody.
It's been some time since I've talked about this, let alone promoted it. But okay, are we in trouble? Okay,
no.
we're okay.
That was my Norton.
Yeah. Uh, there was a there was a gal by the name of Anne Rand. She grew up in Russia, and her father's shop. She watched things happen in Russia with the Russian Revolution, and a lot of things that happened there. And she watched all that happen. She watched her father's business get destroyed. She came to the United States, and in the early 50s, she wrote a book called Atlas Shrugged. Now, this book is over 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
It takes some real tenacity to read the book, let alone there's a speech that is made in there
Yeah.
that is more than 65 pages long. However, there were 3 movies made on Atlas Shrugged. They're on CD. It's Atlas Shrugged 1, 2, and 3. You can get, I don't know if the movie is still available on Netflix. I hate to even mention the name Netflix
I
at this
just
point.
canceled it.
Yeah, yeah. Who wants to provide money to Obama or to promote cuties? However, uh, you can get the movie on Amazon. You can buy the CDs for like $2 and $3 each. Now, I'll never forget. I watched the movie before I read the book. And Anne, when she wrote this book, she it was almost a prophecy of what was going to happen in the United States because she saw even back in the 50s. And people talk about this. They don't, a lot of people don't understand that this has been going on for some time in this country, all this is subversive activity. She foresaw this happening in the United States, and that's what inspired her to write the book. I watched the first movie and I looked at my wife and I said, My God, what she has prophesied, I can see happening right now in this country. And then I watched 2 and then I watched 3. If you want a true education as to where we are headed, if you all don't do something out there, get active, proactive, do something about your voting, do something collectively. We have lots of call to action ourselves, where we will put out a call to action to do something. Uh, watch those movies and watch your future happen if you don't do something about it. I swear to God, there is no greater movies in production than Atlas Shrugged 1, 2, and 3. It was a great watch. I still have the discs and I plan on watching them again.
Yeah. Hey, oh, gee, speaking of movies, listen to this, guys. What would happen if you and I decide to produce a movie with a bunch of 10-year-old girls twerking and humping the floor and giving you crotch shots and everything else? What would they say about us?
Hell, we'd already be in prison.
They said we'd be a dirty old men, right? They'd be trying to
Pornography.
put us in jail for being pedophiles.
Child pornography.
Oh, yeah. Look at those bikers. They're pedophiles. They produced a movie with a bunch of young girls humping and twerking and all that kind of crap, you know? But it's okay for Netflix to do it. It's okay. It's okay if they're left-wing zealots. It's okay. It's okay if you're part of the LGBTQIA community who's trying to get laws passed where they can not be in trouble for raping a minor. It's okay for them. But if we were to do that, there would be all kinds of hell raised. All kinds of hell. I'm just saying, everybody. Just think about it. Think about that. And I did, OG, cancel my Netflix subscription.
Good for
And
you.
when they asked why, I just typed in cuties. Period. I can go find another service that's probably better. And I will. Or I'll just add some channels to the company I subscribe to now. But no more Netflix. They're gone. Besides that, they were showing the same shit over and over and over.
True.
I did like the documentary "Dope" that I was talking about in that on that other channel that didn't get to work. But yeah, the documentary "Dope" is really good, really telling on where we're at. And let me see. I got to do this again, Ghost Eagle. Make it where everybody can read it.
Being
The leader of BLM was pardoned by Bill Clinton for child sex trafficking. Well, that sounds about right.
we're being
But
censored by YouTube.
Yeah. But the Clintons are having a meltdown because all the Democrats now are telling them to get lost. Get lost. You're doing damage. Get out of here. I don't know how they can do any more damage than the BLM is doing. But maybe they can. Everybody hates Hillary's guts, even the Democrats. But they keep trying to bring her back up, or she keeps trying to step in. She needs to shut her damn mouth, what she needs to do. But you guys, in the last few moments here, we want to talk about something.
Well, just before that, I'd like to bring
Okay.
up Brain Damaged has brought up the fact that you can watch all 3 of Atlas Shrugged movies on YouTube,
Yeah,
which is great.
let me tell you, OG, I spend, because of this crappy television shows that are on and the reruns and all that crap, I'm not interested in that. The NFL, the sports leagues, I'm not interested in that shit, especially them taking a knee and all that crap. I don't have to put up with that. And you shouldn't either. We should make them pay big time for what they're doing. Big time. Don't participate. Don't watch. But I do go to YouTube because there's great documentaries. There's great programs on there. There's all kinds of old movies without commercials. Some of them are real clear. Some of them are not. Some of them are great. But that's where I go. And I know I'm giving YouTube a plug, and that they haven't been necessarily nice to us. But they haven't censored much other than that 414 program. But hey, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Now, we got the news today, actually I think it was yesterday that it came out, that they think they've found life on Venus because of the gas phosphine. Now, there is phosphine here on Earth. And this is proof we're more than just pretty faces. We are the scientific kind of bunch too. But because of the gas phosphine here on Earth that's created by a
Biological.
microorganisms, so they found phosphine. They found phosphine in the air at Venus. Now, that doesn't mean that they found the flying saucer or any kind of modern technology, but we are considering now. You want to announce it?
Yes. Now, before I make the announcement, what they're basically saying is ET has farted on Venus.
Yeah.
That's how the gas is produced. We have it in our minds that we need to get a hold of these folks.
Yeah.
Because we want to start a chapter on Venus.
We're going to start a chapter on Venus.
I want to take off my national rocker and put a universe rocker on.
Yeah.
That would.
Hey, Pastor said he's watching us on television, on his TV, and that's really cool to do, guys. I do that whenever I'm checking out the show or checking the audio, which I have to do now because of the screw up we had with our deal. I'm going to have to find an expert on Vimeo.
What the hell? They're censoring us on Ghost Eagle, who has posted, "Do not forget to hit the like button and do not forget to share." Now, why would they do that?
I have no clue. Ghost Eagle, they just tried to censor that. Now I made it where it could be shown. I don't get it. I don't get it. Or maybe it's because they've have been censored multiple times in this episode. I don't know.
At any rate,
You can read it now
stay tuned for our new chapter on Venus.
on Venus. Yeah, because of the gas phosphine. Look it up. Look it up. It exists on Earth and Venus. There's life, guys. Life. There's somebody else out there in the solar system besides us. And hopefully they're riding motorcycles. Just saying. And we'll answer a couple of questions if you guys have them before we leave tonight. Ghost Eagle says, if they censor me, it will bend them over. I will bend them over and give them a reason to then. Okay. Venus is 900 degrees. Yep, that's pretty hot.
Well, they're saying that that ET is living at a high elevation.
Yeah.
There's supposedly an elevation on Venus that is very similar temperature-wise to Earth.
Yeah.
So it's and they've talked about discovering microbes at a high elevation here on Earth also. So
Yeah.
they know they live up there. They're
Yeah.
just buzzing around, farting.
So they got to be high on something. Just saying. Just saying. And so, with that, everybody. Alice Nelson, how are you doing? Yeah. Got anything else you want to close it with?
No, I think ET farted
Wait,
would be my close.
one more thing.
Okay.
Why? There's always one more thing. We're beginning to talk to local politicians. Now, I said the other night that they're spending all kinds of money. I'm talking about progressive Democrats trying to flip Texas, and they're throwing a lot of money at these local elections. These people need help, and if it's that way here in Texas, it's that way in your state. Check out your local guys. Many of them are going to be in for the race of their lives if they're trying to hang on to office, and in turn trying to hang on to what's left of the country. If you know if somebody needs some help, give them a hand. Give them a hand. Our country's going to depend on it. And Ghost Eagle lives near Portland. And it's one hell of a shit show.
They censored you
They
again.
censored that again. Anytime you say shit, they're gonna throw a fit. So that's what that is.
In Vegas, I'm looking forward to Venus Shine at our next national.
That's right.
Vegas
Venus
thinks
Shine.
They're going to make some Venus Shine.
Venus Shine. That sounds interesting. You know,
I hope it's better than root beer shine.
we
but
still
that's
got some
gonna be
root
a
beer,
hard go.
some root beer shine. And let me tell you guys, that's really good. It's really tasty, just like a root beer, except for the after effects.
What you all need to know is every year when we have our national, we look forward to our Tennessee chapter showing up because they always bring some shine.
That's right.
And man, is it good.
Yeah.
We
You
got
guys-
one guy that puts down for 3 days. He never seems to learn his lesson, but it is some good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Well, look, you guys have just joined us. I'm sorry we're fixing to follow the show down. And, go back to the beginning, watch what was said. And, you guys subscribe, share our channel. That helps us move things along. As we say to you, we're not here to sell you any vitamins. We're not here to sell you any foundation repair. We're not here to sell you a roof. We're not here to do any of that. We just are delivering a message. And we are defenders of the Constitution and people who've had their constitutional rights violated. And we got plenty of that going on here in Texas. We got plenty of it going on. There's still bikers that are under the heavy hand of the law here in Texas, and the courts, and as you guys may remember, that's our hog, and so
The heavy hand of the law.
that's right, the heavy hand of the law that still goes on for bikers, regardless of what's happening. All these people that are being released, all these people that are getting away with murder, literally, and all these people that are being paid off after they've had a thug family member trying to attack a cop or whatever else, not complying. And let me say this, bikers, when they're stopped by the law, do comply. They do. There's not many cases where it's otherwise. Now, they may be mad, but they're going to comply because they know what's going to happen to them if they don't. But these people out there are suffering no consequences. And we have people that are facing trial right now because we have a crooked court system here in Texas. They want to defund that something, defund that. They're defunding the wrong people. Matter of fact is, I do believe that your local police department may be a buffer from everything else that's going on bad. And we can point that out again and again and again. But anyway, hi, Lori Bell. How you doing, Don? All right, guys, that's it for this evening. We'll see you next Tuesday unless something comes up that I need to rant about. And that's always possible. Always possible. So subscribe to our channel so you get a notice when we come back on. And I need to go find a Vimeo expert to come in here and help me straighten out our sound. Wherever that is, I'll go find somebody. And you guys, ride safe, everybody. Ride safe. If you don't have a motorcycle, buy one.
Be safe. Stay healthy.
That's right. Watch the COVID. Although a lot of it's bullshit. We didn't talk about that, OG. Well, that'll be next time.
Yep. That's a good subject for next.
OG lives close now, so yeah, I can drag him over here anytime I want. Anytime I want. Good night, everybody.
Good night.